I was just a very angry person in this race. Hey y'all, welcome to Viz Vibe. I'm Vivian Camille, and today I'm doing my Black Canyon 100K race recap. Sorry this wasn't out earlier, but I basically planned an entire wedding last week. Raced, never stopped, didn't breathe. Now I finally have time to do this race recap. So let's dive into it. If you didn't already check the race predictions or follow the live stream, this was a very stacked and competitive women's field that raced, as well as the men's, but we're just talking about the women's field today. Yeah, and that led to Brittany Peterson taking the win and the course record. I think she broke it by about 5 minutes. Lisa Roberts from Tucson as well took second place. She was the one that ran with the baby Yoda on her back the whole time. And coming in third place was Sarah Keys, who also got her golden ticket into the race. One of the golden tickets rolled down to fourth place because I saw a post about that. So yeah, she got fourth and is going to Western States. So congrats to all of y'all who busted it. And I ended up getting a top 10 finish as well. So surprised by that, number one. But two, also disappointed in my performance. And we'll talk about that a little bit. But first, I really want to thank Aravaipa Running for putting on this event, for making it happen, for doing a phenomenal job of keeping it COVID friendly. The live stream I heard was really great. My family watched and followed along, as well as some of you guys. Thank y'all for supporting me along the way and sending me all the good vibes. I really appreciate it.
Let's go! Welcome to Black Canyon Ultra's 100K!
Alrighty, so the start of the race, beautiful morning, gorgeous, couldn't have been better. The turkeys were gobbling, the sun was coming up, the weather, again, perfect.
All right, Viv showed up at the start about less than 2 minutes.
For Black Canyon, are you ready to chase that ticket today?
Woo! I had been warming up beforehand, made it just in time for the countdown. We took off running. And when I say we took off, like, I didn't think we were running that fast. I personally did not think I was running that fast. I was in the back. Like, I immediately was like in the back, like last person. But I looked at my watch and we were doing like 7-minute miles, which I was not planning on doing. My goal for the first 10 to 20 miles was an 8-minute to 9-minute pace. That was my range. Stick to that. And for the most part, I did pretty much beautifully. So we took off running like hot out the gate, and the front runners, I knew that the front runners, 1 or 2 would hang on to that kind of pace, but I knew the vast majority would start trickling off towards the end, and that was my strategy. Start picking them off towards the end. So I ran very conservative in the beginning, knowing that in the end I was gonna bust it. Funny. Around mile 5, I start passing people and I'm like, oh, okay. Not a whole lot of people, but just one person, then another person, that sort of thing. Just slowly, and for the next 15 miles I passed people. Just slowly, one at a time, and yeah, I just knew I was comfortable, very, very comfortable with the pace I was running. Of course, it's always a mental struggle for me, knowing that my goal is to place top 3 or top 10 and be in the very back. And to have the patience there is something I need to continue to work on. I came through Bumblebee Ranch and nailed my aid station exchange transition. With this event, we were not able to have any crew at any of the aid stations and then we were not allowed to have a pacer until the last 12 miles. David and I had to get a little more creative with how I was gonna continue to get through my aid stations quickly and not waste time. I had a separate pack. I pulled that out, exchanged my pack, put that one on, and was able to keep going. That worked really well, and I actually ended up catching up / passing like 4 or 5 girls in that aid station, and I was like, sweet! My aid station transition paid off! Awesome! So yeah, mile 20, great. Just flowing through the trail, loving every minute of it. It was just beautiful, wonderful, effortless. Yeah, just kind of like out for a long run. Mile 20, great. Mile 29, not so great. For those of you who have followed, I recently ran the Rattler 66K, and in that race around mile 20, my knees gave out and I ended up having to walk the rest of the race. That's exactly the pain that came back at mile 29. And I was like, really? 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 Still pissed about it. There was nothing I could do about it. I could not run the downhills, and the uphills I was able to run better. The flat-ish parts I was able to run and then walk. Again, the pain in my knees, it builds and builds and builds, and there's so much pressure that my leg won't lift the way it should in the running form, I guess. It'll only work walking. It's not fair to say I walked the whole half of the race, but I was run, walk, run, walk, run, walk, which I understand is part of ultra running, and I understand is part of a lot of women's races out there this past weekend. In this video, I've given myself 2 minutes to have a pity party, 2 minutes to talk about my disappointment, and that's it. Then we're gonna have to move on because it does not serve me well. But I will say I am very disappointed. I trained really hard for this race, and it's very frustrating to sit on this couch again and do another race recap and say I finished a race and wore heels 2 days after, all day walking in the mall. I tried to run again that week and my knees hurt, but my legs they weren't even hardly sore. That's a really cool thing, knowing that I ran an entire 100K, a downhill 100K, and my legs were fine. But it's also just really frustrating to have put in all that time, to put in so much effort, and to feel like my race was wasted, and to feel like my fitness was wasted. So yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. I'm gonna move forward. I will say I'm not gonna be running any 100Ks, and I'm reconsidering running the Leadville 100 this year, because I'm not gonna go through the pain I went through this past weekend again. I'm just not gonna do that.
Power hike, you got it.
It was a miserable 30 miles. Yeah, 30 miles is a long freaking time, and I know that if that hits me again at Leadville at mile 29, I'm either gonna have to DNF or suffer longer than I want to suffer. So here we are around mile 31, I guess, at the next aid station, and I knew that the day ahead, if I was to continue, was gonna be really, really rough. Not gonna lie, I seriously considered DNFing. I knew we had to quit at a aid station, and so I was like, well, I'll go to mile 40, and maybe, just maybe, my knees will be better by then. I went through mile 40, and the whole time, like leading up to that for about 10 miles, I was thinking like, okay, yeah, well, I'm sure they'll have like BioFreeze or something there. And I remember stopping at one of the aid stations before that and asking, maybe Soap Creek, and asking, hey, do y'all have any BioFreeze? It was a smaller aid station, and they said, no, we don't. And I was like, what? No? Okay, well, surely mile 40 will. It's a bigger aid station. They'll have BioFreeze. And again, like, what's BioFreeze gonna do for me? I just kind of got fixated on it and was like, well, maybe it'll just like distract me if nothing else, because you know, it kind of like feels icy hot, kind of like. And so I got into mile 40 and went to the medical tent and asked them, and they're like, no. They had some other pain spray, so they sprayed that on. I'm not really sure if it did anything. I didn't feel anything different, but maybe it did, and if it did, great. It helped. Thank y'all, aid station volunteers. I really appreciate it. I continued on, and I was like, you know what? No, I'll make it to mile 50 and reconsider dropping. If I want to drop at mile 50, sure. But I knew myself, and I knew that if I was going to mile 50, there was no way I was going to drop. When I have this knee pain, I can still walk. Still hurts, but it hurts less. And so I knew I would be able to finish if I wanted to walk the way in. And I, of course, had time out there on the trail to think about it. And I was like, I paid my freaking money for this. I'm getting a darn buckle. I'm gonna get my buckle, and I don't care what place I come in. Yes, I'm very disappointed. Yes, I'm very frustrated with my body, but that's no reason to quit. Though it's slow, I'm still moving forward, so therefore I can finish. There's no reason to quit. I figured I wasn't doing any like permanent damage to my knees, and that's why I continued on. And to update y'all on that, I've already seen the doctor. We took x-rays, that and my hip, and I will be getting an MRI for my hip because that's a whole other thing that happened in the race, but my knees are structurally fine, so I will be going to a PT. Yeah, I made it to mile 50. My crew was there at mile 50. They got me in and out. It felt like an eternity. But in reality, I think it was like a minute, maybe 2 minutes I spent there. They had ice ready for my knees. They iced them down. They redid my pack, filled it up. Thank y'all so much for being out there and helping me. My crew was stellar. I was also not very kind. I feel like this whole video I'm gonna have to apologize. One, to Aravaipa and to all volunteers there. I was very angry that they did not have biofreeze.
No biofreeze or anything. Does that make any sense to you? Makes no sense. He looks like he's an ultra marathon. I don't understand. Anyways, enough of that.
Yeah, I came into that aid station, complained about biofreeze, was pissed off, but I knew that I needed to get in and out because if I sat in that chair for too long, I would sit in that chair forever and that I wouldn't finish the race because I did not want to finish. I did not want to keep going. I started this race in Merrill's. I've run 20 miles in them before and they hurt my feet, but they were the only shoes I had to run in that were gonna work. So my feet were in pain, my hip was in pain, my knees were in pain. They asked if I wanted to switch shoes. I said, nope, we're just gonna gut it out. I ended up pulling off my entire pinky toe yesterday, so that was cute. And I pressed on. David became my pacer at that point, and we finished the next 10-12 miles. I was just a very angry person in this race, but what was great was my nutrition was so dialed in. I ate a goo every 30 minutes and was sipping on Tailwind and water. I was hydrated and fueled. So what's been different about this 100K to my previous 100Ks is I lost my mind pretty much in the last 5 to 10 miles. This race, it was there. I was able to pull out all kinds of motivational things to get me through this race.
Yeah.
Look at you.
You don't know me, son. You don't know me, son.
I was never crazy emotional. I was just very angry. And I think I had reason to be. It's like, I don't know if you'll have those dreams, but I have running dreams where I'm like, I run and like trip every couple feet and trip every couple feet. That's what it felt like out there. I was like, I know I can run so much faster than this. I know I'm capable. I'd say a solid 20 miles I had my bandana in my mouth like a bit, biting down so I wouldn't have to scream the whole way. And I did a fair amount of screaming and yelling because for some reason that just helps me get it out a little. I don't know why, but it helps. And I finished the race and finished knowing I had a lot more to give, which is always disappointing, but that was my race. That was the day I was given. I wrote a post about not wanting to do my best, but letting God do his best through me. And I cannot tell you how many times I asked out on the trail, God, is this really the best you can do through me? Really? Really? Because this is out of my control. I was really feeling angry and frustrated, and I still kind of am when I look back on the race, but there are so many things to be grateful for, and so I'm really trying to refocus on that. The fact that I PR'd by almost an hour and a half is insane. I still placed in the top 10 somehow. The weather, again, was gorgeous. The volunteers were so helpful. My crew was amazing. It was such a fun event. I didn't DNF. I pushed through a lot of pain. I think I'll probably post this soon, but the 3 lessons that I learned. 1, it doesn't matter what your excuse is. Very few people are going to have the perfect day. But it's how hard you can push past the pain, accept the struggle as a gift, and keep moving forward. And champions find a way. Tiger Woods won with a broken knee. Nothing here is broken. There is a lot more pain that I can endure, is kind of my thought. And granted, he was playing golf, but still. There are people that play through the pain and don't cry about it. Another lesson. One of the biggest parts of this sport is not nutrition or gear or even training. It's taking care of your body so it's happy and healthy when you get to the start line and so that you can get all the way to the finish of a race. I had no idea that my knees were going to do this. I had run the Santan Scramble and had no knee pain throughout that whole 50K. I thought I was kind of over the knee thing, but that was not the case. Had I known that, I don't know if I would have started. And then I also learned that proper nutrition makes this distance really comfy. Like I said, I finished this race and was like, well, that didn't feel like 100K, because the last 200Ks I've run have destroyed me on a lot of levels. The first one I couldn't walk for 3 days after. So a lot of good lessons out there, still more to unpack on that, but I think the overall one is champions find a way. And excuses are excuses. Everybody's got them out here. And I just feel like I'm a broken record and saying the same thing. Yeah, it was a good race, but I just really hope that one day I can sit on this couch and do a race recap and say, I gave it everything out on the trail. My fitness was used, my training was used, and I am 100% fully proud of that race. I'm very proud that I pushed through, that I didn't quit, that my nutrition was great, my aid stations were good. I'm proud of my body for getting me all the way to the finish with bum knees and a bum hip. That surfaced about, I don't know what mile that surfaced, but the knee pain overrode the hip pain. So I guess in a sense that was a gift. This is a really fun course though, and I will most likely be back when everything is all healed up and ready to go. I am so excited to race this again. But yeah, the fact that I can even run 100K blows a lot of people's mind. A lot of people will never aspire to do that, let alone actually accomplish that. And so I'm overwhelmingly thankful that my body is able to bust it out and then be basically recovered in the next 2 days. So that was the race. Again, overall a very joyful day. I want to especially thank my crew, and I also want to thank whoever that volunteer was at Bumblebee who stuffed my pack back into my bear can. Thank you. Thank you for all of y'all's support. I know a lot of y'all were watching the live stream and commenting in about where's Viz 5, which is so fun to hear after the fact. Y'all are amazing. I appreciate y'all watching this. Again, sorry that this took so long to come out. I haven't been anywhere on social media. I've been MIA, fully immersed in wedding stuff, and will be for the next month, but will do my very best to get some more videos out. Thank y'all for being here. I really appreciate it. I hope if you raced Black Canyon, you had a wonderful race as well. I hope I can get my knees figured out so Leadville can be a thing. If you like this video, like it down below and subscribe. I will see y'all soon, and happy trails!